Explosive. Pierre Poilievre's massive crowds expose the polls as a complete scam. As Canada gears up for the next federal election, the political landscape is heating up, with Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre drawing massive crowds at his rallies. These gatherings have sparked a heated debate about the reliability of polling data, with many supporters claiming that the polls do not accurately reflect the growing support for Poilievre and the Conservative Party. This phenomenon raises questions about the methodologies used in polling and the narratives being pushed by mainstream media. Pierre Poilievre has been crisscrossing the country, engaging with Canadians in various communities. His rallies have attracted thousands of enthusiastic supporters, showcasing a level of grassroots enthusiasm that contrasts sharply with the polling data suggesting a more competitive race. Observers have noted that these large crowds indicate a disconnect between public sentiment and what traditional polling methods are capturing. Key highlights of Poilievre's rallies reveal not just the numbers, but the fervor behind them. Attendees often express their frustrations over current government policies, ranging from economic challenges to issues related to healthcare and public safety. The energy at these rallies is palpable, creating an atmosphere of hope and determination among supporters. This engagement suggests a passionate base that may not be fully represented in polling data. The sheer volume of attendees at Poilievre's events has led many to question whether the polls are truly reflective of voter intentions. The crowds often feature a diverse demographic, including young families, students, and older Canadians, all united by a shared desire for change. This cross-section of society illustrates Poilievre's ability to resonate with a wide range of voters, which traditional polling methods may overlook. The polling data itself has come under scrutiny due to significant discrepancies between reported numbers and actual rally attendance. Critics argue that traditional polling methods may not adequately capture the sentiments of younger voters and those who are disillusioned with the political establishment. Many feel that the methodologies employed in these polls do not consider the nuances of contemporary voter engagement, especially in a climate where social media plays a pivotal role in shaping political discourse. Several factors contribute to the observed discrepancies in polling data. First, sampling bias is a major concern. Many polls rely on samples that may not accurately represent the broader electorate. This can lead to skewed results that do not account for the enthusiasm seen at Poilievre's events. Polls often target specific demographics that may not encompass the full spectrum of potential voters. Consequently, this can result in a disconnect between what the polls suggest and the reality of public sentiment at the grassroots level. Additionally, the changing dynamics of voter engagement add another layer of complexity. The political landscape in Canada is evolving, with many voters expressing dissatisfaction with the status quo. This shift may not be fully captured by traditional polling methods, which often rely on historical voting patterns. Many Canadians are looking for alternatives to the established parties and may be more inclined to support a candidate like Poilievre, who positions himself as an outsider willing to challenge the norms. The engagement of new voters is another critical element that polling agencies may struggle to quantify. Poilievre's ability to connect with younger voters and those who have previously felt disenfranchised could be contributing to a surge in support that is not being reflected in polls. This demographic is often more active on social media, where narratives can spread rapidly and influence opinions, further complicating traditional polling techniques. The media plays a crucial role in shaping public perceptions of political candidates and their viability. The narrative surrounding Poilievre has been mixed, with some outlets focusing on his crowd sizes while others emphasize polling data that suggests a more competitive race. This dual narrative creates an environment of confusion and skepticism among voters who are trying to navigate the complex landscape of political messaging. In the wake of these developments, there has been a growing skepticism among commentators regarding the accuracy of polling data. Many voices in the media are calling for a reevaluation of how polls are conducted and reported. The focus on Poilievre's massive crowds, juxtaposed against the polling numbers, raises important questions about the methods used to gauge public opinion. Are the polls capturing the full spectrum of voter sentiment, or are they simply reflecting a narrow slice of the electorate? Media coverage has also begun to shift in response to the overwhelming turnout at Poilievre's rallies. While some outlets initially dismissed the crowds as mere spectacle, a growing number of journalists are acknowledging that these events may indicate a significant grassroots movement. This recognition may influence undecided voters who are swayed by the palpable energy and enthusiasm displayed at these gatherings. The framing of Poilievre's campaign in the media can significantly influence public perception, potentially swaying undecided voters. Images of crowded venues filled with enthusiastic supporters serve to bolster the narrative of a viable and energized campaign. Conversely, a focus on polling data that suggests a tighter race can lead to a perception of uncertainty and fragmentation within the Conservative Party. As the election approaches, the dynamics of support for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party are becoming increasingly complex. The massive crowds at his rallies challenge the validity of polling data and suggest that there may be a significant shift in voter sentiment that is not being captured by traditional methods. The stark contrast between the excitement at his events and the often lackluster polling numbers raises critical questions about the accuracy and reliability of these measures. This situation presents a critical turning point for Canadian politics, as voters begin to question the narratives presented by both the media and polling organizations. The outcome of the upcoming election will depend not only on the policies presented by the candidates, but also on how effectively they can engage with the electorate and respond to the changing political landscape. As Canadians prepare to head to the polls, the question remains, will the enthusiasm seen at Poilievre's rallies translate into votes, or will the polls prove to be a more accurate reflection of the electorate's intentions? The answer to this question may ultimately shape the direction of the Conservative Party and the future of Canadian politics. In this charged atmosphere, the role of grassroots movements cannot be underestimated. The passion and commitment of Poilievre's supporters may inspire others to participate in the electoral process, leading to an unprecedented voter turnout. This engagement could redefine what success looks like in the upcoming election, challenging conventional wisdom about polling and voter behavior. As the political landscape continues to evolve, it is clear that the traditional methods of measuring public opinion need to adapt to the realities of modern campaigning. The rise of social media, combined with the shifting dynamics of voter engagement, necessitates a rethinking of how political support is gauged and understood. Ultimately, the upcoming election will serve as a litmus test for both Poilievre and the polling organizations that have shaped public perceptions. The results may either validate the massive crowds and grassroots support or reveal a deeper disconnect between voter enthusiasm and electoral outcomes. As Canadians prepare to make their voices heard, the stakes have never been higher, and the eyes of the nation will be watching closely to see if the polls can withstand the explosive energy of Poilievre's campaign.